moving day means you're in for a big transition. CubeSmart makes self-storage as easy as possible. Online or in person, we put the focus on you. Click now to find a self-storage solution near you.
Ladies and gentlemen,
we are coming back to Atlanta
right now. Whoa.
Mark your calendars because the second annual Black Effect Podcast Festival is happening on Saturday, April 27th. Hosted by B-Dot and Pretty V. Last year was nuts, but we about to do it bigger and better. We've got some of your favorite podcasts like Carefully Reckless, Horrible Decision, $1 Million Worth of Game, just to name a few. Tickets go on sale today, right now. Go to blackeffect.com/podcast festival. Get them. We'll see you there.
Save up to 35% on Samsung appliances, select TVs, and home theater at PC Richard & Son. Plus, up to $1,000 in instant additional savings when you combine 2 or more qualifying Samsung products. It's the Samsung Whole House event at PC Richard & Son.
Hey everyone, I'm Brian Austin Green.
I'm Shauna Burgess.
And I'm Randy Spelling.
And you are listening to Oldish, an iHeartRadio podcast.
Yeah, let's start with a grunt as you sit down. Oldish, everyone, welcome.
I'm sorry, I didn't know we were going. I'm 50. This is the way it works. Like when I move, it hurts.
Honestly, it's an oldish thing,
Yeah,
right? Like
totally.
when you sit down, when you get up, when you move, it's like, it's an audio experience for anyone around me now.
Hi everyone.
Welcome
to another episode of Oldish. This is our second one. This is a recap really of what our first episode was. We're going to have some live callers. We're going to have some questions that we received. We're going to be answering those, talking a little bit more on the topic. Give you guys a chance to be involved in what it is we do.
And we had amazing feedback from you guys, so we want to say thank you for that with how warmly and wonderfully you received our first episode. So thank you, and thank you for your incredible questions and input. I can't wait to get to them today.
Yeah, it's been amazing to hear and read all of the comments and the feedback. We're humbled. Thank you. And part of today's show is that this is for you. We want to answer your questions. We want to get into the topic that we were talking about last time, which was disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the concept of what it is we're doing. We're hoping to have 2 episodes a week. First one talking about a specific topic, and then the second one having people call in and send in questions. And we asked you after the first one to go to Oldish Pod on Instagram and leave us some feedback or some questions. And then we also have a hotline. We have 855-OLDISH-3 you can go to, and you can ask questions, give us comments, some possible topics, some things that you're wondering about. We're open to all of it.
Absolutely.
Or just leave a fun message.
Right.
Yeah, or a fun message. That's great too.
About how much you love the lighting in this room. I don't know.
You worked really hard on the lighting in this room, baby. And all of it, actually. I would not be able to set this up myself.
Little things.
Mm-hmm.
I especially like the Yoda in the background.
It's
is
good,
that a
isn't
Lego
it?
Yoda?
Oh, this
Yes.
is. Yeah.
That was a birthday present from the kids. That's like a talking Yoda.
For anyone that doesn't know, Bri is a huge Star Wars fan. Like, massive Star Wars fan.
I would like to correct both of you because that is Grogu. That's not even Yoda, okay? Oh. That is Grogu from The Mandalorian.
Baby Yoda.
No,
Is
not
Baby
Baby Yoda. 2 totally different characters. See, this is a whole nother topic that we can get into.
It just sounded like you spoke a different language.
Yeah, you
I don't
lost
know
me.
what just happened.
Yeah, you lost me. Grodo? What did you?
Grogu. Is his name.
I'm like...
Right. Sharna's like, is that a pasta sauce? I don't know, because I
Sounds
really
delicious.
love Grogu on penne. You know, that's delicious. The first thing I want to ask is of you, Randy, because this is a whole new... You have been in Portland in your house, sort of really helping people with their stuff, but this is a step outside of it for you. I mean, you've kind of thrust yourself back into the public eye and ear a little bit, and you are helping a much broader audience. How has this experience been for you so far? I'm sure you got tons of feedback from the episode yesterday.
Yeah, so first of all, it's hilarious hearing you say, you've been in your house. Like, I have been sequestered away in a cave,
Locked
meditating
in. Yeah.
somewhere.
Hey, I watch the videos you post. It's either right out front of your house, it's like next to a river under a tree.
Skipping down the street.
Right, skipping down the street. You're flapping like a butterfly. You're doing all sorts of things.
I did skip yesterday.
You
It's
did.
a great way to change your mindset in a second. Great thing for mood, by the way, for anyone listening. It's a great hack. Yeah, it's been interesting, and I'll be very honest here. I was nervous about this. All of me was a yes in terms of this podcast, in terms of partnering with you two and doing this.
Right.
The second that we talked, Brian, we talked about this last episode, I just got a full body yes. And I've turned down many offers, as I said, to do something like this because it just didn't feel right. And at this stage in my life, I don't care about being famous. I don't want to be known to be known. I only want to do what I feel is authentically me and show up in the world and live my purpose.
I love
and if
that.
it's aligned, beautiful. If it's not, it's just a no for me. So because this is a yes, it was a little bit of a venture out and step out into, gosh, am I going to deal with criticism here? I mean, I do what I do.
For sure.
Right? Like, I do what I do. I lead groups. I've been doing this for over 15 years. But that old part of me is like, gosh, I'm stepping into the line of fire here. Am I going to be criticized? Are people going to look at my background and go, well, he has, how is he going to give advice? How can he help me? What is he going to know? And I had to work with myself and have a lot of internal dialogue around seeing myself in present time.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter how many compliments I get from clients, how many people give me feedback on social media, there's still that little part of me that I have to work with that says, are you sure you're enough?
Yeah.
Are you are you really there?
Right.
And so it's been a fun process.
You expressed concern after we did the first one too, because I know your big concern is letting people know who you are so they feel safe enough to come to you and ask your advice on things and your story being involved also, which I totally understand that concern, but I'm hoping that we have tons of episodes to be able to slowly unveil all of those things because we all have incredibly deep stories and experiences, and we've lived very full lives, and we have a lot of positives and a lot of negatives to share with everyone. But that's the purpose of this. I mean, we can't do a deep dive in one episode on each person because
No, not at all.
It'd be nappy time, I think, for the audience that's listening to this.
We'd be here for days.
Right.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm ready to get into stuff today. I actually had a question for Sharna because we talked so much about disappointment and her disappointment with not being asked back to Dancing with the Stars. And just as a follow-up, how are you feeling? I know tons of people have been writing you.
Yeah, it's been such a beautiful and overwhelming amount of support that I've received from people, and I'm so grateful for that. Anyone that thinks I don't see their message or it doesn't mean anything, you have to know that reading those things in that space was just exactly what I wanted, needed, and it felt really, really good. But at the same time, I also had to work through those feelings with myself and work on finding that gratitude. And I'm really in a deep space of gratitude now. I love my experience that I had with the show. I'm so excited for the people that are on it. The cast was actually announced today, and we can talk about that a little bit. But I had a beautiful, beautiful time with that show. And again, I know I sort of said this last episode. I know it's not personal on their end. For whatever reason, they were guided to make these decisions for this specific cast, and that's okay. And the universe is guiding me into a different direction. And there are already things coming in to fill up that space. And I love being a mom so much. And I'm listening to my friends that are spending 10-hour days away from their kids or traveling and doing the things. And my heart does not feel called to that. I feel so called to be in this space that I am in now. And I made that switch of being able to see the glass half full instead of the glass half empty, see all the things that I do have, the opportunity that I do have, the love in abundance that I do have. And know that, oh my God, everything is perfect. This is honestly everything I've ever wanted in my life. And now I have the space, time, opportunity and support with Bri sitting right next to me of everything that I can move forward and do and dream. So I'm really happy. I'm really excited. It did get a little clickbaity with the media jumping onto things.
That's just the way it is. I mean, we have to be ready for that, and especially I think when we are talking as openly and honestly as we are, things are going to come up that people weren't aware of, and so they're going to want to share those, and that is just sort of the process of the media at this point. It's like, one person reports something and then everybody jumps on, and they hope that people jump over to read. Unfortunately, it's the same thing that they're reading from one site to the next. It's the same, it's all the same information, same photos, same everything. But we have to know that is coming. That's a part of this process. And so I think the more we sort of accept that and we just sort of trudge ahead and we keep doing what we're doing because we're here for the right reasons. I honestly believe that. The three of us are here to help people and give a little guidance and share some stories and share these opportunities for other people to grow and not feel alone in what it is they're dealing with.
Absolutely.
Because most of the problems that people have, you'd be surprised how much of the world is dealing with something the same or very similar, that you are the furthest thing from alone in dealing with life. And the more you realize that and the sooner you realize that, I think the better off you are at understanding, oh, okay, now I just need to learn how to work through it and deal with it and just be open to people like us and books and other people giving as much information as possible.
Absolutely. I did have a feeling, Randy, that it like something that came up for me with all of the articles coming out and, of course, headlines being so explosive. And you're like, I didn't say it that or even like that. Like, hold on a second. And I started feeling that anxiety of, oh my God, I'm a problem. I'm creating stress for people. I'm a problem. I shouldn't have opened my mouth. And it was that, no, wait, I spoke very clearly. I spoke the truth. I spoke it with love and respect. People are going to take that and do what they want with it. But I have to honor myself and go, no, I did the right thing. It's okay for me to share. I should be allowed to share my feelings.
You have permission to share your feelings.
Thank you,
and there's a record of it. So the real story will always be here on our podcast versus what is going to be spun in the media. Yeah. So anyone who's curious, come back and listen.
Just listen.
Right. It's straight from our mouths.
Context
you're not getting
everything.
Anything edited. You're not getting anything out of context. It's
totally.
We are saying exactly how we feel and what's on our mind.
Mm-hmm. Just quickly on the cast that was announced for Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, you want to get into that a little bit? You want to read those real fast?
Just quickly,
because we have a list of them here.
We do. I'm super excited for them. I think it's going to be an amazing season. There's one person that I would love to share that I'm really shocked is on there, which is Adrian Peterson, a football player. And I had some people reach out to me and say, have you seen this? Do you know his history? I looked it up. The man has been charged with child abuse of his 4-year-old son in the way that he punishes him. And that is just devastating for me. Listen, you know how we talk about the things you could have avoided? I'm telling you now, if I walked into a room and that was my partner, I would turn around and walk right back out. There is no way I would be, now being a mother, I would be able to stomach that. But him aside, the rest of the cast looks incredible. There's some people that I think are going to be amazing dancers. Allison Hannigan, big fan since Buffy. Big fan since Buffy days.
Yeah, I've known Allison forever. Randy, you probably know Allison as well, right?
Yeah, I've met her a couple times, but I don't know her well.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She's a really incredible person. She's going to be super fun to watch.
Mira Sorvino, Tyson Beckford.
Jason Mraz.
What a great get.
What?
Do you think he's going to wear a hat in every episode?
I didn't. So the press photos that I saw, he didn't have a hat on, and I was a little thrown. I was like, oh, that's what it's kind of like seeing Marshmallow without the head on, you know? You're like, oh, that's what he looks like.
That's who it is. So just to wrap up the Dancing with the Stars part of it, I am super excited for them. I will be watching. I will be cheering on my friends, and I'm always going to be a big fan of that show.
AAA helps you do life for less. Save on travel, 24/7 roadside assistance, and home and auto insurance. Plus, enjoy discounts on groceries, tickets, dining, and more. Thousands of experiences, thousands of ways to save. Join today at aaa.com/join.
Ensuring your network can support new sites and expansions, scaling your bandwidth to meet evolving connectivity needs. No matter what your organization's technology journey looks like, Spectrum Enterprise delivers solutions, services, and support like no other provider, so you can take the next step with confidence. Because helping you grow your business is part of what we do best. Visit enterprise.spectrum.com/iHeart to speak with a technology expert.
Are you a business owner looking for a new bank? Look no further than Manasquan Bank's Bundle for Business. With Core Business Checking, you can manage your finances with ease and convenience. Their business credit card offers competitive rates and rewards to help grow your business. Clover Merchant Services makes it easy to accept payments from your customers. With business online banking, you can access your accounts and make transactions anytime, anywhere. No business is too small when you think big. Because when you succeed, we succeed too. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I think we should start getting into some questions that were sent to us.
Definitely.
About the last episode, because there were a lot. Again, thank you all so much for reaching out and giving us feedback and asking really pertinent questions. Mm-hmm. And they're questions for all of us. So I think the first one that I want to get into is for you, Randy. It's from Jen. And the question is, how do I help my high school senior deal with disappointment if they don't get into their top choice for college? How can parents help their kids deal with that disappointment?
Great question.
Great question.
Great question. And this happens all the time. So number one, pressure off from the parents. I think that children, no matter what age, feel that spoken or unspoken pressure that might be there. You might have a vision that you're holding of what you want their life to turn out like. So just a quick question and a check-in is, am I holding anything for them that I could let go of to make it easier for them? Number two is you have to, we were talking about this last time, you have to feel your feelings around disappointment. Feelings are going to come up. Sadness, upsetness, frustration, annoyance, anger. But really what disappointment is thinking that your future, a future moment is going to turn out one way. And you have an expectation, a hope, a dream. And when that doesn't come to fruition, you feel that future is no longer possible. So keep the hope and the possibility alive that the future that your senior wants is still possible, even if the school, the institution doesn't say yes. That institution should not dictate how the rest of your life will turn out.
It's the thing we always talk about, like allowing the universe to sort of do what it's doing and to realize that like things aren't necessarily personal and they're not a failure. They are just, you are meant to be on a different course than the one that you may believe you're supposed to be on. And you've got to be open to that.
Totally. This is a really silly analogy, but you're really hungry and you have your favorite meal in mind. I'm thinking of a sandwich right now, even though I'm not a sandwich guy, like a club sandwich, right? And it's this place that I go to. Let's go. And you go to the restaurant and the restaurant's closed. You could sit there and
that's so disappointing.
That
by
totally
the way.
happened to
us.
us.
Yeah, let me just stop you right there and say that is devastating for me. So now go ahead. Go ahead.
It's
How do we
terrible,
work
right?
through this, Randy?
All your sandwich dreams are totally crushed.
It's heartbreaking.
You could sit there and start to question, why did this happen? Why didn't I look at Google and figure out how to look this up? It said that they were open. You could spend all that time and energy. Or you could go, you know what else is in the vicinity? What are my other options? Because I'm hungry. I know that I want to eat. Let me go to a different restaurant. And when you go to that different restaurant, get as much out of that restaurant, that meal, as you possibly can and enjoy it. And stop playing out the what could have been, because it's like swimming up a river.
I think that what could have been also plays into like what Bryce said, let the universe take care of you. You don't know what could have been. You could have gone and that place could have been open. You could have had that sandwich and ended up with food poisoning. Like you don't know what could have happened on the other side. So you can only move forward in the lane that you're in with the opportunities that you do have. And so I think it's great what you said, Randy, about make the most out of that restaurant and that meal that you can. You know, replace restaurant and meal with anything in life that you kind of get pushed, not pushed to the side. What's the word? You go a different direction towards, you're pushed in a different direction towards that thing. Make the most out of it instead of sitting there being so concerned about the stuff that you didn't get. Glass half full, not half empty, you know?
Exactly.
Now, here's another sort of question that was put together, but I think ties in really well to that. The question was, how do you express to your child that you're disappointed in their behavior without shaming them?
Ooh,
that's a really good one to me. That's a good one.
That's
a complex question.
Randy, you start.
Are you sure?
You're the pro.
Yeah, I felt like you had
I have
something
big
to say
feelings
there.
on it, but I think you should definitely start.
So I would start with a question, because the second as a parent that you start to say how you're unhappy, and I know this is a big ask, right? So I want to soften it by saying that. When you express disappointment, there's something that has gone wrong. And a lot of times I remember, hearing those words, I'm disappointed in you. How I took that as I am a failure.
Yes.
Even if it wasn't meant.
Disappointing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something's wrong with me. I'm not good. And so I think I would ask a question. How do you feel that you showed up in this situation? What would you do differently? Start to ask questions.
Right.
You get someone in a different frame of mind, so they start questioning themselves. When someone is questioning themselves, they're open. They're more expansive. They're able to let things in. And then you can share. Once they're already self-assessing, then you can share, let me share a story about what I went through or what someone else went through, and see if they can learn through story. And then at some point, you can say, and we don't do that in this house, or that's not acceptable, or we're not going to. But it comes on the end versus the top down at the beginning.
Yes.
Because then it sets up this dynamic where they're just trying to please the parent. And we know in life, if you just go through life trying to please people, you're not in tune with yourself and the right decisions that you need.
So true.
So it's almost good then to open up a conversation early on with it of, let's talk about you
boundaries.
and how you're feeling in this and what you might have tried differently or do. And because, so I personally have made a choice. I don't use the word disappointed, because disappointed to me was absolutely heartbreaking when I heard it when I was young.
It creates shame. And that is a devastating, damaging emotion.
There was nothing that I could have heard that was any worse than I'm really disappointed in you, because that was just like, oh, I have failed on every level.
Soul crushing.
If somebody instead had come to me and said, hey, so, things didn't work out very well in those choices that you made. Let's talk about what other choices you could have made that would have turned out in a different way. And you open somebody up to exploring that themselves.
And also, just not to interrupt for too long, but to say, why did you make those choices? I think finding out the why, even for a kid, like explain to me where you were coming from. Even as a parent, I think one of the most devastating, disappointing things you can feel is if, say, your kid was the bully at school. And you're like, what? How? And your natural instinct would be, I'm so disappointed in you. That is not what we do, and to get angry because you're also embarrassed. But you got to ask them, why were you feeling this way? There's always a reason.
I think
for
finding
kids.
the why, though, helping them find the why for themselves is so important. I don't necessarily need the why for me.
That's what I mean.
It helps. Yeah.
The why for the kid.
It helps me, but I want you to figure out what you were feeling in the moment and what part of the choices that you made possibly weren't the best choices, and what you could try differently next time.
Different tools. Absolutely.
Exactly. This has to be said, because Sharna, it's so important to look for the why, like you said. but there's a difference that happens when you're looking for the why versus a parent or someone who says it as a statement. Why would you do that?
Right, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right? Because that's it. I want
attacking.
parents to understand.
They're not going to.
When you say that, that is a statement.
Well, and
saying,
it puts
you're
somebody
an
on the
idiot.
defensive right away
Totally.
too. I mean, you're setting yourself up for honestly a failure of a conversation, because it's starting in this, like, somebody is then feeling attacked, and then they're feeling like they have to defend themselves, and then it gets emotionally charged, and it's like, let's turn down the heat of that right away, and let's have a very honest, open conversation about what it is you have.
kind conversation.
On the same team.
On the same team, always with
absolutely.
your kids.
Yeah.
I'm Elliot Connie, and this is Family Therapy.
My best hopes, I guess, identify the life that I want and work towards it.
I never seen a man take care of my mother the way she needed to be taken care of.
I get the impression that you don't feel like you've done everything right as a father. Is that true?
That's true, and I'm not offended by that.
Thank you for going through those things, and thank you for overcoming them.
Thank God for deliverance.
Every time I have one of our sessions be positive. It just keeps me going.
I feel like my focus is redirected in a different aspect of my life now.
So, how'd we do today?
We did good.
The Black Effect presents Family Therapy. Listen now on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
iHeart Podcast Update. This week on your free iHeartRadio app. Fodor's Guide to Espionage. A 60s-era spy story of the world's first and greatest travel writer, Eugene Fodor, as he jet sets around the globe. Tongue Unbroken Season 2. This podcast explores complex concepts of identity, resilience, erasure, and genocide. Table for Two Season 2. Think of the show as a deconstructed Oscar party in podcast form. Each episode takes place over the romance of a meal and feels like you're seated next to a different guest at that dinner. Hear these podcasts and more on your free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
At one of the most famous restaurants in the world, there's a table in the corner where the most incredible conversations on the planet are happening every week with owner Ruthie Rogers and amazing guests like Martha Stewart.
But I did have an affair with one of his best friends.
Jimmy Fallon.
Do you want a zip line over your dad while he gets attacked by alligators?
And Paul McCartney.
John and I hitchhiked to Paris.
We've saved you a seat. Ruthie's Table 4. Listen to Ruthie's Table 4 on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, baby, I actually have a question for you from one of our listeners, and I think it's a really amazing one. It is, how do you deal with disappointment from a failed relationship or marriage and allow yourself to find love again?
So the first thing that was a focus for me, and I think should be a focus for a lot of people, is that marriages and relationships don't fail. I never, when my marriage ended, I never felt like I failed at it. We were together for 10 years. We have 3 amazing kids. So what an unbelievable success. I think at some point, at certain points in life, people just travel down different paths, and they have different points in life and different experiences that they want to have. And they don't necessarily line up with the people that they are with. They did when they first met, which is what brought them together. And then those paths separate and go in different ways. And you got to feel okay with that. You got to realize, like, oh, okay, I'm on this path. The other person is on this path. So let's find new ways of taking those paths ourselves. And I got lucky because I found you, and you were on the same path with me. But I found complete happiness, and I felt secure with myself in being on that path alone. I found how the journey worked for me, And I really found a love and an enjoyment of it. But I think, honestly, for me, the biggest thing that I would say to focus on is changing your view of a situation, that's something not remaining for a lifetime or for more years than you expected doesn't mean that it's a failure. That I had friends growing up that were the closest friends in the world to me. And then you end up on different paths. It doesn't necessarily mean that I look back on those friends and I go, oh boy, they just never turned out as good as I did. What a failure that relationship was. It's like, no, that relationship worked for the specific time that it was supposed to work. And then you move on and you have new relationships with people. Randy and I, we hadn't talked in almost 20 years. That doesn't mean that our failure our relationship when we were younger failed. But now our paths have crossed again because they are very similar. And so we're back at it and we're doing it again happily. We didn't come across each other and feel like, oh man, how, we have to make up for all the failures that we had when we were younger and how we lost touch. And boy, we must have really messed up somehow with each other. It's like, no, our lives went in different directions. And so we experienced them. And now, luckily and thankfully, we are back on a path that brought us back together.
I think if I could add on to the end of that too, there's also, depending on how a relationship ends, some can end in a positive way, some can end in a very negative way. You have to still, no matter those circumstances, as Bryce said, you have to still look at it not as though it was a failure, but that it was an experience that you were meant to have. That person was meant to be in your life for a very specific reason at that time. And you have that choice to learn from that experience, either to ensure it doesn't happen again or whatever it is you're trying to learn from it. For me, my failed relationships was understanding that I'm the common denominator. I would like to not make choices like this, and then to work on those things and take them as learning experiences instead of failures, because failure means you put the blame on yourself and then you feel shame of you being the problem and then you don't feel like enough. And then it just piles on and on and on and becomes more negative until you feel like, especially this person that asked this question, allowing yourself to find love. If you continue with feeling disappointed and negative, you almost feel like you're not worthy of it because you're not good at it.
Well, and I feel like also you start putting all of these red flags in place of,
totally,
I don't want to make that mistake again. So I'm going to look out for that because that's never going to happen again. But you are not then allowing yourself to be in something that doesn't deserve that red flag.
Yes.
You had that situation before. Now it's a whole new one. And the person that you're with doesn't need to bear the weight of what the last person left you with.
Absolutely, so true. So true. So I think it is, that moving forward from a relationship or marriage that is from your past means trying to move on with appreciation and gratitude for what it was, for the lessons that you can take from it, and to try and move forward with love, knowing that you are worthy of it and giving yourself that opportunity, that you didn't fail, that like Bryce said, there is no such thing as failure when it comes to relationships.
It's all how you look at it and you choose to experience it and how you choose to define it. You either live as it being some sort of a failure, or you step forward and you go, okay, that was an amazing experience, like all of the ones I've had in life so far. I can't wait to see what this next one is, and be open to whatever it is that comes your way.
What an amazing question. Thank you to that listener who sent that in, because I think a lot of people would feel that way.
Yeah.
I'm Elliot Connie, and this is Family Therapy.
My best hopes, I guess, identify the life that I want and work towards it.
I never seen a man take care of my mother the way she needed to be taken care of.
I get the impression that you don't feel like you've done everything right as a father. Is that true?
That's true. And I'm not offended by that.
Thank you for going through those things, and thank you for overcoming them.
Thank God for deliverance.
Every time I have one of our sessions be positive. It just keeps me going.
I feel like my focus is redirected in a different aspect of my life now.
So, how'd we do today?
We did good. The Black Effect presents Family Therapy. Listen now on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
iHeart Podcast Update. This week on your free iHeartRadio app. Fodor's Guide to Espionage. A 60s era spy story of the world's first and greatest travel writer, Eugene Fodor, as he jet sets around the globe. Tongue Unbroken Season 2. This podcast explores complex concepts of identity, resilience, erasure, and genocide. Table for Two Season 2. Think of the show as a deconstructed Oscar party in podcast form. Each episode takes place over the romance of a meal and feels like you're seated next to a different guest at that dinner. Hear these podcasts and more on your free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm hungry. Let's get sushi delivered from Wegmans.
Oh, great. Wait, the supermarket?
Wegmans' first Manhattan location in Astor Place has an amazing sushi bar. They fly in sushi-grade fish from all over the world, and we can get it delivered right to our door in as fast as 30 minutes through Instacart.
Wow. Touché.
I think you mean sushi.
I see what you did there.
Download the Instacart app to shop Wegmans and get free delivery on your first 3 orders. Minimum $10 per order. Additional terms apply.
Let's take a live caller.
Yes, let's do it.
Oh, this is so exciting. This is our first ever live caller. Sabrina,
you are our first caller.
You are the first caller of hopefully many on Oldish, but we are super excited to hear from you and super excited to give you any possible advice that could help you through anything that's going on.
Absolutely.
So what is going on, Sabrina?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. My question is, I've been kind of going through lately like a season of disappointment, you might say, in one area or another, whether it's in like my career or my relationships. And so when you're faced with disappointments in any of those areas, what are some like action steps or things you do to kind of take you out of that fixed mindset of, well, woe is me, down in the dumps, what did I do wrong? Why is everything always happening like this? Right. When are things going to change?
That's an amazing
really
question. I think so many people are going to relate to you on this. I'm going to defer to the professional here. Randy, can you start us off?
Oh, to Randy. Oh, okay. I was going to say, that's really kind of you.
That's really cute, baby. That's really cute.
I'm sure you both have a lot to add here. One thing I would just ask you is, how long has this season been going on for you?
Well, depending on which area it's been, I would say maybe like a year or so.
Okay. And I know that you said you feel disappointed. What do you feel underneath that? What's going on for you as a result of the disappointment? What is the thought that you have in your mind about what's been going on?
It probably goes a little bit back to, am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I qualified enough? Am I likable enough? Whatever it might be, just kind of having that, I guess, maybe some of those limiting beliefs about myself.
There you go. Wonderful. So that's what you're bumping up against. And if you go through things in life that reiterate a story or a limiting belief that you have about yourself, what you keep bumping up against is not, hey, something didn't work out, let's move on to the next. You bump up against the wall of, I am not good enough. And that is soul crushing. So one thing that I would ask from you, actually, let's just do it on here. What are the 3 things you said? You said, am I smart enough? Am I likable? What else did you say?
Qualified.
Am I qualified? So I would say that you are smart enough. You are savvy enough to be able to reach out to us to hear something, to get a little nudge that says, you know what, I'm going to call and I'm going to ask a question. That takes courage, that takes bravery, and that also takes a level of action that you took. Right?
Yep.
So build off that. You are capable. You are able. Start to look for where you are smart enough. What's the evidence? So much of the time we ask these questions in a vacuum. Am I smart enough? And what you're doing is looking at an old past self, maybe something from childhood, right? But if you look at you today, and I ask you, Sabrina, truthfully, it won't sound egoic, are you smart enough to do what you want to do?
See, there's that whole limiting belief of of course I'm smart enough. I've got a master's degree. I never thought.
Oh, girl, you're smart enough. Come on now.
Okay, so again, Sabrina, of course you're smart enough.
Of course you're smart enough.
So that's the answer to that question.
Yes.
But here's the evidence, because a lot of times what we are doing in our head is cycling back to an experience or an old feeling, but it's not the real evidence. So can you start to look for the evidence in your life that tells you otherwise? And that's going to take a little bit of effort on your part to start to show you, what did I do today that was good enough? What did I do today that was smart? Start to see those things.
Yeah.
And that will work with the limiting belief, because you will be showing yourself every day, multiple times a day, where you are good enough, smart enough. Even if it's something as small as making your bed, setting out to, go for a walk and actually following through. Those tiny little things build confidence, which will also help with your limiting beliefs.
You know what, Sabrina? I'm a big believer in the law of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really important when you're having those thoughts, because I have them. I think everybody has them. You have those days where you go, God, these things just are not lining up the way I had hoped, and things aren't turning out the way I had planned or thought they would. But for me, I try and make it a daily practice of, instead of getting down on myself for what didn't turn out the way I was hoping, to put out this positive energy of, okay, so that didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to, but it's not because I'm not good enough. It's not because I'm not smart enough. It's because this specific situation was not meant to turn out the way I hoped that it would, and just be open to, okay, things are kind of running their own course right now, and I'm just sort of along for the ride, and really finding, I try and find as much sort of healing and faith in that. I don't really question it so much. There was a time in my life where, and I think in a lot of people's lives, where they try and plan what their next step is, what's going to happen. And I've honestly felt like as soon as I have really done that, I've set myself up for failure, because I've created these expectations, and expectations don't always turn out the way you think they should. That's just that for me, in my experience, that has just been a part of life. But looking back on life and everything that hasn't happened the way I hoped it had, God, I'm so glad that the things didn't turn out the way that they did, right? Because
in hindsight,
the road that I'm on now is so much bigger and better than the one that I thought I should be on.
I think, Sabrina, if I can just add my 2 cents worth, I first of all relate to you. There was a time in my life where I very much felt the same. And the things that helped me move through that was finding a consistent journaling and gratitude practice, because what that was doing every day for me was forcing me to look at, as Randy was saying, the positives, the things that you do have, the way that the proof, I think you called it, Randy, of how smart you are, how great you are, how much opportunity you have. And at the beginning, it was really difficult. Like, man, 3 things I'm grateful for. I don't know. I feel pretty shit right now. I don't feel grateful for much. And then I realized, wow, I have so much more than so many. I have a great family. I have a house. I have 2 working legs. Start with the basics and build up from there, and get yourself onto this rampage, if you've ever heard of Abraham Hicks, a rampage of positivity, and just keep your body going with it, and you'll feel it. You'll feel yourself start to vibrate differently. And when that happens, you will begin to attract better and bigger and more, because you'll be sitting in that frequency, sitting in that space of positivity. Everything is always working out for me. I didn't get that job. That's okay. It wasn't going to be good for me. Everything is always working out for me. That date sucked. That's okay. He would have been a dick. Everything is always working out for me. I didn't want to be with that person. Oh, damn it, I missed the bus. That's okay. I wasn't supposed to be on it. Whatever it is, you find that silver lining and say, there was a reason for this, and it's saving me from something and shooting me into the direction that I am supposed to be going in. And I trust that it's there, and I know that it's there, and I'm just going to keep living as though, Randy from our last episode, the universe is rigged in my favor, and I know that I am going to be in the right place at the right time. So I'm just going to stay positive. I'm going to stay focused, and I'm going to be ready for it when it comes. There's my rampage.
Right. I very much relate to like what both of you had just said too. Like Brian, I'm a planner. So like when something doesn't work out, it's like, well, what's my next step? What's the next thing that I do, because I need XYZ.
You want control.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to, I've had a couple of people actually say to me, so when Sharna, when you were like, it's the universe, God, whoever, protecting you from that situation was not the situation that you were supposed to be in. You were protected from that.
Yes.
There is something bigger and better that you're destined to do, and you may not see that right now.
Yes.
Which is the hard part, because you kind of want to see it.
We all want a crystal ball,
Right.
but we really wouldn't want it if we had it. You know?
Exactly.
Right.
And Sabrina, notice what you said there, right? Because nowhere in what you just said, and I could tell you started feeling more upbeat and excited, seeing that if you could just look for the next step and the next step, nowhere in there did you ascribe meaning of self to, okay, it didn't work out, I need to take a next step. It didn't mean anything about you, that you weren't good enough. Could have just been that it wasn't the right position. They were looking for someone else. That job could have turned out horribly for you.
That may not be the job that you're supposed to be doing in the first place. And
There is something better.
You have to be open to that. I was going to say, one of the mantras for me that I really try and focus on every day, because I have always loved control in my life also. About 5 years ago, sort of dealing with the health stuff that I was going through, really came to a realization of that the only thing I felt like I truly had control over is the person that I choose to be while living life, while going through all of it. So while you're out and you're applying for jobs and you're meeting people and you're doing things, to me, the one thing that you have control over is the person you choose to be while living that experience. The experience itself, the job you get, the next step is a byproduct of who you are and what you are putting out, I believe. So keep your head up. You're absolutely smart enough to be doing what you want to do. Much smarter, I'm sure, than I am.
Yeah, you got a master's degree. You definitely kick my butt when it comes to
I'm here
brains.
doing a podcast about being oldish and giving advice. But thank you, Sabrina. Thank you so much for.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, I hope.
Does that help, Sabrina?
I hope that we helped you in some way.
It does, and it reaffirms some things that I think some other people have kind of said and reiterated to me recently.
Good.
Sabrina, you're gonna be okay.
Smile. Keep your head up. You'll absolutely be fine, and trust that what you are supposed to be doing is exactly what will come to you.
Yes.
Just know that.
It's there. It's ready for you.
Yes. And send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Send us a follow-up message.
Yeah, update us on what is going on.
Awesome. Will do. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Thank
Sabrina.
you.
Awesome. All right. So I think we have one more live caller, this is super exciting to be doing. Annette, I think, is the next one.
Hi.
Hi, Annette.
Hi, Annette.
Hey, Annette.
How are you?
Hi.
How are you?
Fantastic.
So good.
Wonderful. How are you?
Chugging along. Just got home from work a little while ago.
Oh, nice.
It's really cool being able to see you on our screens, because the last live call that we did was just audio. So this is
really
fun.
cool.
Oh, yeah.
So Annette, how can we possibly help you or give you any sort of advice.
What's going on?
That pushes you in some positive direction.
So I'm not sure how much time you have. I'll take like 2 seconds. For context, I'm a graphic designer. I'm 24. I graduated college a few years ago, and I'm in a toxic work environment. And it's like, I had cancer like 13 years ago. So like, I already have mental health, physical health, all those problems. And then I put myself in this job, and I need a job to do what I have to do. It's important. And I've been applying to new jobs, and I've updated my resume. I've talked to like past professors. I've talked to, career services, doing all I can do to get a new job. I have a therapist, like world-class therapist, and she's great, always so helpful. And like, I'm not getting anywhere with trying to get a new job. Like, I'm not even getting the chance to interview, because I think I could win them over in an interview, but I'm not getting that. Like, what could I do? Like, what more is there to do? Like, I'm updating my portfolio. I'm doing all the things I could possibly be doing to get a new job. I physically can't stay in my job. Like, I'm in a constant state of panic every day.
Oh,
like,
no,
just,
that's very
it's
Have
physically hurting me mentally. I can't do it.
Have you thought about looking in any different directions within what it is you do? I mean, maybe the sticking point is the one specific area that you're trying to go after, and something else is supposed to be happening, that you are gifted enough to be sharing what it is you do in a different and better way.
Well, I mean, there's so much to do in graphic design, and I'm not quite sure what that is I want to do, because right now I'm in promotional products, and it's an entry-level job, so I don't plan to stay here forever anyway.
Were you applying for more of the same type?
Oh, no, I'm applying for everything. I mean,
okay.
I feel like I'm not qualified for most things, because they're asking for like 10 years of experience,
right?
Like web design and all this stuff, and I'm like, I'm not that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm applying for all different things, because I like invitation design, or a whole bunch of different stuff, apparel, all of that. I'm also a photographer, so there's just like so many different things I could do, and like I want to do it remotely, just because I do have other health problems that I can handle from home, and there's so many options, and you could do so much from home.
Right, but you feel like those
nowhere.
opportunities aren't coming to you. Interesting. There's something blocking them from coming to you. Randy, what do you think?
Yeah.
Is it toxic enough? I mean, it sounds pretty toxic, and it sounds that physically, mentally, emotionally, it's not healthy for you. Is there anything that you could do in the time being
instead of being there?
Instead of being there, because sometimes being in a toxic situation that is hurting you in some way will stop other opportunities sometimes in coming, because you're in a place of constriction and sort of armoring up to deal with what it is you're dealing with.
I've thought about it. I guess there could be other options, because I do have kind of still have my part-time job from before I got this, and if I ask, they'll take me back, because I do kind of work there anyway, for holidays and stuff. So if I ask them, I'd be like, hey, can I come back full-time, and then obviously get a raise for what I make now or more. And I think they would do it. They do love me enough, so I think it would be okay. And my sister still works there, and they love her, so I think it would be fine. That's an option. I do keep that in the back of my head if all this goes south. But I've even gone to HR at this job, and they didn't handle it correctly the first 3 times, so I can't even go to them, because now they don't like me, and it's just they handle it wrong. And it's like, how are you supposed to do this? Just management is so toxic. It's I don't get it.
There was a clip that I watched on YouTube, and I wish I could remember the woman that was speaking, and it was this phenomenal speech that she gave about how she came to her success, and she went through a space of not having any and coming up against all these road blockages. And she realized that it wasn't about the who she is, it's about the where she is. So instead of us trying to change the who to fit the space that we're in, or sacrifice the things about ourselves to be in that space, we change the where. And if there's anything I can say, just in hearing your tone, even about the 2 different places that you could possibly work that you were talking about.
Did you notice that?
At big time. You will have more joy if you go to this other job, even though it's not what you want to do in the long run, but because it is going to create a safe space for you to be in, it will create a better environment for prosperity and opportunity and positivity to flourish. Whereas you being in this environment that sounds incredibly toxic and taxing on you, and you are not protected and you are not seen and heard, this is all sorts of alarm bells for me for you to be in this space. And I would honestly encourage you that, since you do have another opportunity you could go to where you said the word love in when speaking about that job, they love you. Girl, go there, feel safe, feel seen, feel heard, and then go back to your hustle of, all right, I'm going to look with fresh eyes and not that toxic, negative crap all over me. And I'm going to look at my resume. I'm going to look at maybe what else I can do. What can I spice up on? What can I, because sure, there's probably things there too, but I guarantee you a big part of it is this negative cloud that is surrounding you because of the environment that you're in.
Yeah.
And then also,
No,
I
I
would focus
understand.
on because you listed a bunch of things that you do, that you're into photography, that you're into graphic design, So my possible suggestion is to maybe whittle that down a little bit and find something that within that world that is really a specialty for you, something that you are completely confident in doing, and hone those skills a little bit, figure out what your niche is, what you have to offer that other people don't. And then go back into the world with those, because sometimes those are the things that people see and they go, that's interesting. Like I've never really thought that I needed someone within that position until I saw this resume and I saw these, and I saw the demos of what you put together, and I saw, and you spark interest with people that way. So that's, that's just something that I might want to do. It's better to be a master of one thing
than a jack of all.
Trades.
Yeah.
No, I get that. Yeah. I mean, I think my dream is to be like a wildlife photographer. So I just want to go to Australia and like work at the zoo.
Oh, you'll love it.
That's
Understandable.
a whole big thing.
Yeah,
That would be
Understandable.
great.
I was in Australia and the zoo is a magical place.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
You'll fall in love
that's
with it.
awesome.
This might be another conversation, but I am deathly afraid of going to Australia for all
Well,
the
so am
animals
I,
there.
but it's a dream. So just knock me out for the flight and I should be good to go.
Y'all act like we have, koala bears on the harbour bridge and kangaroos we ride to school. Like it is just there.
No,
it's
it's
not
Okay,
as
so
bad.
Australia is
Everything
dangerous,
else is
and I'm
fine.
and,
It's
and
not
I
dangerous.
say, okay, so the three of us
We
will
have got
disagree
sidetracked.
with you, but but it'll be okay. Like we're not arguing about this.
Yeah.
It's a healthy debate about quality of life in
No, I'm
Australia.
about to throw down.
Beautiful city, Sydney, Melbourne, amazing country. A bit dangerous.
No, come on.
I'm with you, Brian.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Annette, is this helpful? Does this help move you from a place of a little bit of hopelessness
Feeling stuck.
from that job, toxicity, survival,
Yeah.
into something that feels more open?
Yes, of course. And I've had the conversation with my therapist about going back to the other job. The issue is my parents are like, well, you can't go backwards because the other job is a supermarket job, and that's fine.
It's not going
and I mean,
backwards, though. It's
It's
still
not
going
going backwards
forward
at all.
for
Thank
you.
you.
It's
not
going
going
That's what I
forward
said, but they're like,
emotionally
but you
for
can't
you.
do that.
Yeah.
You got a degree for a reason. You can't go backwards.
Backwards is staying in something that does not benefit you.
Yeah.
For much longer than you should. There's like the worst thing you can do is be there for one day longer than you have to be, in my opinion.
Yes. And by the way, growth does not look like this. It looks like this.
It's a circular.
And it's a
It goes round
spiral
and
that
round.
goes backwards to then catapult back up again. And if it comes to your emotional, mental, and physical well-being, that's where you get to advocate for yourself.
It's the
and
number
say,
one.
"I'm
Truly,
taking
That's
care of
something you
myself."
have control over.
And
so
just to touch on the parent thing, because I think especially while we're talking about disappointment, we have this fear of disappointing our parents. You went through college and all these things. They are coming from a place of deep love in wanting to see you be successful, right? And so know that too. But underneath all of that is driven by wanting you to be happy. Even if it is communicated with don't go backwards, and that makes you feel like it will be disappointing, they truly are coming from a place of wanting for you to be happy. And I think that you have to take that into account, sort of hear their words through a little bit of a filter, you know what I mean? And go, okay, I will be successful, and say it with absolute belief in your voice. I will be, but I cannot do it from here. I cannot do it while I do not feel seen, heard, nor safe in the environment that I'm in. So I need to take a step back, but not backwards. I need to take a step to aside, put it that way, to a safer environment so I can regroup and then shoot forward in the direction I need to go.
And Annette, you're grown, you know.
And girl, you're grown. You're 24.
I mean, it's your parents are not living in the situation that you are living in at work right now. So from the outside, they might have a different perspective of it, but at some point, you really have to be willing to say, right now, it's what's best for me. I'm sorry if you feel like I'm moving backwards, but for me, this is absolutely what I need, and be confident in doing that, and know that you're going to go back into something that is much more loving and allows you to feel creative again and figure out a new approach.
Totally.
Sometimes you need those things. You need a safe place to step back into that allows you to then reconnect with your passions and your love.
Creativity will not flourish in the environment that you're in.
No.
It will not. And what you need is creativity. Find yourself a safe space.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm getting older, and we're also I'm looking to move out with my boyfriend, and I can't do that on the pay that I'm getting.
Totally.
And then because I can't find a new job, what am I supposed to do? So I'm looking for maybe open an Etsy shop with what I do, sell my prints. I do crochet and stuff. So
it's a very interesting idea.
Absolutely. Do those things on the side. That will also, creativity is a muscle, right? You will have freedom to create there if you do an Etsy page, and you can try things out and put them out. And that is, you're building that muscle and you're working on things and you're only getting better and better at what you do. I think that's everything. Also, you're 24. Don't, slow down with the I'm getting older thing.
Right.
You got so much time.
Oldish.
You got so much time.
You are not oldish yet.
No,
okay?
no.
I just turned 50, so that qualifies as oldish.
You are less than half his age.
Right. Okay, well, when you put it that way, it's a bit disturbing, but, it's...
I love you so much. Did that feel like it helped, Annette? Do you think?
Yes, no, that was great. I can't wait to go back to my therapist and be like, look, they saved the day.
Don't say that. Just say that we were here working with your therapist.
Just say, you know what? You were so right. All of your words really landed, and I got confirmation.
You're amazing. You're worth every penny.
Podcast.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Annette, thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Best of luck with everything, Annette. We'll be rooting for you, and let us know how it all goes.
Please,
keep us updated.
Update us. Yes.
Send a link to that Etsy shop.
Yes.
When you get it
yes.
Please,
I'm on Etsy all the time.
We'll share it for sure.
I will be a supporter.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your day.
Bye.
Bye, Annette.
All right.
What an amazing episode.
That was incredible. That was so much fun. And the fact that we get to do that every week is amazing. So the schedule for what it is we're doing is on Tuesday is an episode with a topic. And then on Thursday, we will be revisiting that topic and speaking to live callers about it. So
and answering anything that you've put in our DMs on Oldish Pod or left us a message
so when
about.
when you hear the topic and what it is we're talking about, please reach out to us, because we will absolutely be bringing people on the show and doing what it is we just did now, which is an incredible blessing for us. It's honestly why we do this. And it just, hopefully we help people, and it feels good. This feels like a really good episode. I'm leaving this one extremely happy with what it is we're doing here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is amazing. Randy, you're awesome.
Oh,
I just felt like I should share that with you.
You both are awesome. I'd had a moment where we were everyone was talking at different times, and I just thought, yep. This is it, right? This feels good to be able to talk to people and share your story and what helps you. And the whole thing about giving advice, I think it's really, it's talking, it's sharing, and it's asking questions. And if we could do that on a macro level in our lives, we're winning. We're successful.
Absolutely. All right.
All right. So thank you for listening, everyone. Please reach out to us, DM us at Oldish Pod, or you can call our hotline. It's 855-Oldish-3. Right?
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
Leave us a message.
Leave us a message. We would love to have you on the show discussing this topic, other topics. Please reach out to us if you have ideas of topics. We are open and willing to get into anything that could possibly help.
As a little sneak peek, our next episode is actually going to be about co-parenting, something that Brian and I get asked about all the time.
It's a good one. It is a live wire.
That is a big one.
Okay, so thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you guys for being here. Randy, good to see you as always.
It's good to see you both.
Yes.
We'll see you all next time.
We'll see you guys at the next one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Yes, you guys are amazing. Make sure you guys go and follow us on Instagram at @OldishPod. And you can also go and leave us a message at our own hotline, which is 855-OLDISH-3.
Make sure and write us a review. Leave us 5 stars if you loved it. Leave us 5 stars if you didn't.
We love 5 stars. We love 5 stars.
Yeah.
We like 5 stars.
Yeah. See you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you next week, everyone.